Okay, sweet. Hopefully it's gonna work this time. We're gonna just keep rolling with it, and if it's all glitchy and in and out, I'll just record it as a video and post it later. We won't do the whole live stream thing. I like doing the live stream. It's kind of fun. It's kind of seeing who all jumps in and stuff. Hey, Stu, go, dude. That's cool. So I'm finishing this beat. It's pretty popular as far as like if you've ever been to an open mic or heard me live. I play it like every time, and I'm gonna be showing how, kind of explaining how it goes from different processes, from recording it to the final process after it's been all flipped, and I'm gonna show a bit how I perform live, how I've incorporated the SP in different layers, and gotten to the point where I feel like I can have a certain amount of pre-recorded music DJ style and a little bit of a show with it, trying to do something different every time. Um, so this will be pretty cool, man. Hopefully everything keeps going smooth. We're just gonna run with it either way or not. Um, Sorry for all the feedback, dude. Everything's wired up. Everything's like a mad scientist lab over in here. I'm in Florida right now. I'm on the self quarantine with my buddy Mason from high school. So we're out here on the porch. Shout out Christy for letting me use all of her plants and stuff. So here we go. I'm gonna pick back up. I'm gonna restart kind of from where I was in the previous videos. There's been a bunch of weird little glitches. This is the most recent one. This is the one that's still alive. This is the one we're gonna go with. Yeah. Uh, so to kind of pick back up, uh, yeah, I'm gonna add a little chorus. This is gonna get fun. This is gonna be crazy, guys. Whoa. Uh, so the purpose of this beat, the way this guy started out, my uncle, was taking a little trip with my family throughout Yellowstone last year. My uncle gifted me a harmonica, as a token of him, one cool dude to the next, saying "What's up, dog?" Um, so I went on a hike, with my bear mace, because there's bears out there. I don't want to mace a bear, but there's a lot of bears out there. Whoa, saw a couple, and also I saw some birds, and some birds saw me, and they'd see me play the harmonica, and they were like, "Whoa, hold up, I got the next verse," and kind of chip in and out a little bit. So the beat's like a combination of the harmonica sounds, ambient noises from the forest, and like little bird chirps here and there. Play the first part so you can kind of hear it. It's heavily affected. There's a lot of like chorus and reverb and just like, yeah, all the settings, all the plugins, man. Real staticky. Here's it without the lo-fi. That's gonna be a little clearer. People are like, Jake, what does it mean to make lo-fi music? It's like, oh, it's just a button. It's right here. Yeah, no percussion. This is kind of the raw form. Little echo in there, I hear, so it's a little bit of this guy. But just like little bits here and there. It's some of this guy. The chorus. Over harmonica beat, man. That's all you need. I made this on the pattern sequencer. Recorded it from the pattern sequencer into Reason. Cut it into bars on Reason so I could play it live. And so the way it's... Yeah, and then I went from Reason and put them back onto the SP. And it's all loops, it's all sections, so everything's on repeat with little chops here and there. The main form of the whole beat is this right here. Just this. Cymbals go in and out with it. Drums come in. But that's kind of the bread and butter right there. And so then there is one variation. A little bit of variation in life, is the spice of life. And I'm always trying to smoke some spice, man. I'm just kidding. This stuff's not good for you. Here's the variation. Here's the little bit of chop that's different. Turn everything up. Turn everything up. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, hey, here we go. Yeah, so that's what we got. That's what's already in the SP. If you ever see me perform this beat live or anywhere, this is what's already on there. And I trigger between the few. It's a little tricky. Nothing's connected. So this is its own sound. That's its own sound sample. So I've got to swap the beat to another one, turn this guy off, as I simultaneously turn the other one on, and just flops to the next loop. Here we go, here we go. I usually catch it weird sometimes. You gotta learn, yeah, that little boom. Hopefully it's still working. I'm gonna check on Facebook. Please let it just be still live streaming. Cool. Mason, hey Mason. You guys are right there. Cool. Decent. Dustin Watson's on. Cool, man. Cool. If you're hopping in right now, this is me. I've got a beat that's made 85% of the way. This is my B level, just a good, clean B level beat. But we're trying to get to an A to pass this semester because we had a C in the last one, and we've really got to have a good GPA this year to keep the ball rolling. So this is where it's at right now. I'm going to show a little bit about how I perform live. The purpose of this beat at the end is to enter into the Roland beat making competition and hopefully get featured with a few other artists on a really cool collection of music. So this is what I did to build an intro. Everything right now is feeling really verse. That part kind of feels like the chorus. Yeah. Then you kind of go to this part, which is just the beat straight up with it without any percussion. So that's where we're at. I wanted a kind of way to introduce the beat, to hit the ground running whenever it came in. I wanted something that was really chill and kind of reflected being in the woods, playing the harmonica, hearing the birds sing around out there, which was part of the recording of the beat. So to do that, I decided the best way was just a little bit of ambience, a little bit of sound noise right on the verge of being music, and to kind of start out with something that was pretty experimental lo-fi, having it warble and go kind of crazy, and then cut out for a second, and then have the beat come in so it comes in heavy. I play this a lot of open mics, and it's a good way for me to really have my hands on the SP, to really be moving and bopping with it around, to really draw some attention into it, and then come in heavy. So what I did is I reversed this guy. Yeah, I reversed them and played them onto this pad. So that's the beat reversed. Just to kind of let it sit for a second, let you sit in the ruminate headspace, let it kind of be a vibe, man, let it catch itself. So start with that for like a second, or like 10 seconds, you know what I mean? And then I'll start getting in with the delays. I like to really start with like a good quarter note delay to let it kind of pop in there so you start to catch it, that it's like something's going on, something's different from the way it started, and it's starting to interrupt into itself. And I'll just kind of bleed that on a little bit more. And then the next part is when the improvisation happens. This is the part that every time I perform it's a little bit different, which is how I like to keep it, man. A little bit improvisational every time. And I'll start to twist these around and kind of feed back the static into itself. And then after I've done that, it's really just crazy. I'll feed this guy up pretty heavy and cut this one out. So I'll show you what that... So yeah, even though it's here, I'll put this on Eternal, even though the beat's done, it's no longer playing onto the SP, it's still going in the delay function. It's still just feeding back into itself. The feedback is so long that's just sitting there, and you can keep that going for a while. I've got the settings pretty light on the SP. I got the effect limit on, so it's not going to feed forever, but you can get like 30 seconds out of it, and as soon as you touch down, it starts to feed back into itself, and it goes away. Yeah, and that's whenever you can plop. Bring him in. Hit him with the heat, dog. Keep him waiting a little bit. A little bit of foreplay goes a long way. That's what my father used to tell me. I'm just kidding. But it just gets the blood curling. It's like, what's going on? And then your first thought whenever you see me on a stage, my beard, fucking looking like Gandalf, usually I'm wearing toboggan, you're like, this guy's gonna play this whole freaking set, and it's all gonna be this. It's gonna be this guy with a delay function, and he's just going to, and like this, cool, another nerd writing music, neat. We'll just appreciate it for a moment, and then you kind of cancel out that a little bit, and you hit him with that fire. And eyebrows raised, booties hit the floor. Yeah, so that's how I kind of get into that beat. If you're just not hopping on, this is for a lot of SP users or for music fans in general. I'm showing how I have a beat, an instrumental ready to go on my SP404 drum machine. And I'm going through the last stage of having all my raw, almost there, B level grade information and trying to get it to an A plus awesome beat, and kind of that last little bit of performance that I do with the SP404. This is really interesting. If you use the SP404, you're into beat making, or you just like to see how a person does their creative art in general, it's pretty neat to check out. Cool. So some of this I'll be explaining things more, and some of this is going to be me in the workshop figuring out while I go. It's going to be me like messing around. It's going to be me doing retakes. It's going to get a little boring sometimes, but we'll try to but we'll try to keep it fun. We'll try to keep it fresh, and we'll try to get a little bit better each time. This isn't about seeing an end process. If you want to see a live stream, man, there's plenty going on right now with some really awesome DJs and performers. Today we're in the workshop. Today we're in the workshop with Uncle Jake, who's a beat maker, and you're gonna watch what he does. You're gonna hold the flashlight, as they say. Yeah. So here we go. So I like this delay intro we got going on, man. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be wild. A lot of people are gonna. It's gonna get everybody involved, man. People are gonna be in their conversations and like, whoa, wow, he's handsome. So you like to start this dude out. This is something I started doing yesterday, and I found out it makes it so much better. You started out with it low and slow, as they say in the barbecue world, and you feed up the volume. So to do that on SP404, change your volumes around. Put this guy, you select him, you go over here to the sample edit button, boom, and now we have volume shifts. So let's start it out nice and slow. So we're gonna do this. Hit this guy on so it's going nice and slow. Let people hear for a second. Everybody's getting their sound guy's getting ready. He's checking out his soundboard. Start hitting this back. Sorry, you hit the weird feedback right there. I'm going to feed this delay so it's already on there. And so you have a good amount of delay. It's on the pad now. This is where we start out. Do this all live if we forget to do it. Boom. Caught a little there early. Here we go. And you kind of pump it up, and then you can do a volume raise. And then by the time you do that, you turn it off, so you're no longer adjusting the volume. You take this guy, and you can already start to squiggle around a little bit. Put the feedback up a little bit. Squiggle around a little bit more. Boom. Cut her out. Keep it for a second. Let it vibe, let it vibe, let it vibe, let it vibe. Smooth out. Boom. A little rough. I'm working one-handed here. Cool. And then sci-fi sounds. So just throw those in there. If people don't expect them and they're like, whoa, went to Mars yesterday. So yeah, let's mess around with that a little bit. Let's do that. I mean, I'm gonna do it, and you're gonna watch me vibe at home. Shout out to everybody who hopped on right now. Hope everybody's doing well during this Corona time. Yeah. Whoa. Some people are getting ready to go back to work. Some people making some more face masks. If I had a house right now, I'd be making a garden. Think about that a lot, dude. Heard about regenerative growth plants. You can just like cut them while they're growing, put them in some water. I think radish is one, chives. Get some of that going, man. So now we're gonna mess around. We just learned it. We learned the tab, and now we're gonna play a little bit to get it tight. We're gonna zone it in. We're gonna get it where it needs to be. Like I said, we're at a B right now. Let's try to get to an A plus today. If not, we have tomorrow. The test isn't until the 5th. That's when the speed is due. We're gonna try to get a little bit better at our homework right now. Practice, they call it. So we wanna. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So we went a little step further with that one. That's kind of what we're looking for in the end product. We get through the whole intro. It go breaking out the text. Yes, I am playing with my TI-94 today. We are going to be graphing linear equations as well as making dope fire beats today. Yes. Modern day Renaissance man. Reminds me of Tetris. Yeah, it does a little bit. It's got that stack and block sound. Man. Okay, cool. Just check it out in on the Facebook real quick. Yeah, that's a little bit more what we're looking for in the end product. But we're gonna go back. We're gonna keep zoning in on that intro for a little bit more. Get it where it's tight. That first one, I felt like it was good. Um, so when making music, art, a flower bed, anything, one big thing you want to think about is your audience and what is kind of your end goal with what it's looking for. If you're making a flower bed, is this my flower bed in my backyard for vegetables or for things I want to see or memories? Or is it a flower garden that's going to be in front of a hotel that guests are going to see when they first go to stay a few nights in a wonderful place before they exit and go back home? Is it for a golf course or people when we have business? It's like, what's your audience, man? Who's this going to be for? Who's the main people going to listening to this? And for this one, it's going to be still in drums. It's going to be this freaking awesome producer out of Atlanta who's going to be one of the judges for this beat tape. And it's going to be SP404 heads. It's going to be other dudes who are making it, who are going to be listening to it. Maybe some FL Studios too, but just like listening to it and be like, how did he do that? Like, where's his mind at? Some true SP404 grit style people. And yeah, beat makers and a lot of people who are like in lo-fi, but are like analog equipment lo-fi, out of the box lo-fi, however you want to define it. Same big happy family, but a sister or cousin, you know what I mean? So it's going to be something that I want a little bit of grit. I want a little bit of craziness. I want people to hear me playing the knobs too, but I don't want to keep too much attention to it because if this beat is an AA plus beat that's still in drums, thing is awesome. That the people who are judging the Roland SP 404 beat tape competition thing is awesome. It's going to be played back to back with other beats. So it's stuff like if I was playing this at an open microphone mic and it was like, you know, one of those where it's kind of a slow night, you're one of the first people going on because other people want to play later, and you have a little bit of time to kill, and you have a crowd that's kind of came there for a show. I would draw out that intro so much longer, dude. I've done that intro 30 seconds, 45, almost a whole minute. That's when it starts getting a little, what's this dude doing? But I would draw it out a little bit more if it was live, but here we're going to be on a beat tape that's going to be just back-to-back instrumental music of a lot of different kinds. So I'm going to kind of try to keep it short, snappy, and sweet, as they say in the Bean lingo. That's how you want a good snap bean, short, snappy, and sweet. We're going to keep this 100% green bean with the intro and everything. So here we go. I'm going to hit it again. Here we go, round two, kind of messing around with this beat and seeing where we want to end up with it at. First thing I got to do first, though. First thing, you know. set up the whole volume. Yeah. All right, let's go again. I felt all right about that one. I kind of got distracted there for a second with all the volume changings and stuff. So yeah, let me make sure I'm recording on Reason 2. At the end of this, I want to have a little beat that I'll be able to put out. Yeah, I gotta hit record on this guy. Yeah, so I have all the audio, good audio condition. That prime time audio. A showtime audio. Here we go. All right, we're gonna try that intro one more time. Okay, here it goes. You've been hiking in Yellowstone National Forest. You're walking through small, piney, little pieces of needles and branches, and you've gone to this area where there's a tree, like other trees, except this tree has fallen down, and it won't get back up. And you pull out, what do you pull out? You pull out your handy-dandy harmonica, and you stand on the stump that once held this precious tree, and you play so the birds hear you and sing along. That's our mindset going into this intro. Okay, it's getting better, but that wasn't quite it. We gotta figure out. It's like it's like there's 3 steps. It's like the volume intro thing, and then it's like getting a little crazy with the delay. That for a second, and then this is the part I haven't really thought about. It's that last bit of delay out, where it's like holding on for a little bit. It's like, how long do I want that to last? Do I want like this part? Like, how long do I want? It's just gotta kind of creep down. I want to kind of introduce the beat. Yeah, but I don't think I want to let it die out too little bit either. I want the two to kind of fade into each other just a bit. Like I want it to, yeah, kind of pick up where the other one left off. Skip the whole volume intro for a second. Okay. So I feel about it. I'm gonna have this guy a little bit out here. Have this feedback just a little bit low. We start out with feedback a little bit low, and this guy's gonna start in with a quarter 4. This is one of the best settings. Just hit it with that little T4, T94. Hey, let it start out. Start with the feedback first. Let it feed back into itself. Build up, build up, build up, build up, then cut it again. Cut the feed. A little bit, not quite as much. I want a little bit more suspense in there. Yeah. Here we go. This is sound designing with Ruminate. Things are hopping along, working on getting a B level beat to an A plus beat. Starts with the intro, man. That's the first thing people hear. The intro is the first thing. This track just popped on. You clicked on a SoundCloud link. You clicked on an Instagram link, and you just go to this beat. And this is the first thing that you hear as a palette. It's gonna kind of set the mood. A little bit of crazy, a little bit of organized, a little bit peaceful. It's a lot going on. Cool, cool, man. Everybody's hopping on from back home. How's it going? How's it going? Thanks for hanging out for a second. This is go back what I'm doing over real quick. Um, so I'm working on a musical production. I'm working on a beat. Working on a little instrumental piece that I've recorded. This guy was a big hand in the recording process. My TI-94, my SP-404 beat machine, and everything right now is in these little loops. And we're kind of working on getting these loops that's just a little repeating bit and turning it into a full music. Technical difficulties, man. Come on. I gotta do this to me. Yeah. Write that out of the way real quick. Yeah, we're working on taking something that's most of the way done on this guy and filling her out, getting all the work, getting all the pieces all filled in and stuff, and making it more of a full level song. So here we go. We're gonna cut the other video shot for a second. So right now we're working on the intro, which is this guy, with a little bit of delay coming in, which gets pretty crazy. I'm just gonna play the whole piece for everybody who jumped on for a second, kind of show them what we're working with, what's up, what's up. Cool, cool. So I had a little fun there. That's kind of what we're looking for, something like that in the final product. Just this wonky, crazy, just four on the floor type beat, something that feels good, dude. It's a little bit like, I'd say if it had a bit of genre to it, this is like funk. This is like funk style beat, just straightforward, straight on the path. Don't stray from the path. Yeah, yeah. Whenever I showed it to my uncle the first time, the guy who gave me the harmonica I used to record on the beat, he said it sounded like a Native American type rhythm to it, like a powwow or something, like around a fire, just that, doo, like tribal warrior music, which made me feel cool. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. We're gonna go back to it, and we're just showing. I'm just kind of showing my process how I make my music and how I go from something, starting with recording it on a harmonica, to kind of explaining how I use it on the pattern select, to chop it all up, and then how we get that all into a performance, man. And like I like to like cut my stuff. Like I like to have a certain amount of my music that's like midi'd in, tracked in, do it again and again, and get that one cut, and then kind of like chop it up. but I like for a lot of my final performance, like a lot for what's going to be on the track, so to speak, to be like a performance, like something that was done and taken, and like that was the one, like the way they record a guitar solo, like, and it's like that's the solo, that's the one we're going to use. Yeah, that's the way. You don't cut in a solo and take little bits unless you're whack. Like you record, you track it, and like that's the solo we're going to keep on this record. And as a solo artist, that's how I like to hit it. So I'm just going to keep doing this a few times. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hopping on and checking out what I do. Hope everybody's staying safe. Yeah, that was a nice little go around, man. I kind of like that one. Uh, I feel like whenever I do these, they're just like beat level. It's like almost really, really awesome, but it just needs that little bit. That's that cinnamon spice, man. That little bit of everything nice that's gonna make it like, whoa. You know what I mean? And it just takes doing everything like perfect and getting that one solid cut. Well, not perfect, like there's a million ways to be perfect on one of these, and that's not the idea, but just that one that really resonates for a moment, that's really going to hang on for a little bit. Go and play a beat. We're going to take a break for a second, man. Whoa, crazy stuff going on. Shout out to Alabama hopping back up. Hope everybody stays safe. I hope they're very conscientious and careful what they do. Wash your hands, man. Wash your hands, wear a mask. Everybody's gotta wear a mask now, dude, but be careful with that stuff. Yeah, take a little break, Here we go. Hey, shout out everybody who entered the contest, did a little merch giveaway recently. So thanks to everybody who hopped on that. That was really cool of you. Hopefully giving away some toboggans. Not a whole lot of people did versus the amount of likes. Only got like a handful of submissions, but everybody's pretty much, I think 80% of the people who submitted are going to go home with something. So that's pretty neat, dude. I'm glad the people who liked it, read all the rules, are going to get it, dude. I hate entering stuff and thinking there's no way in hell you're going to win whatever they're giving away, man. Keep seeing this ad for a Sprinter van. It's like a $20,000 Sprinter van, and me and my boy Mason are trying to get a van right now. Ain't no way I'm gonna win that $20,000 Sprinter van, but hey, somebody's gonna get some Ruminate merch. So you hear the speed, it makes the other one make a little bit more sense, like the little bit of choppings and that kind of shit, dude. It's called flipping. They call it an SP flip. This is how you DJ off a drum machine using the effects. The speed Wolfpecker is gonna be on Go-Fi, hidden Spotify. It was on Spotify. Changed a few things around. Trying to get on some playlists. I'm trying to get Darby's Whistle track on the playlist so that I can get a little bit more traction. Spread the root gospel of Ruminate, I like to say. Not out loud, I think, anymore. It sounds weird out loud, like I'm a cult leader. Here's an unreleased one. Oh, it's on YouTube, if that counts. Yeah, if you just hopped on, I'm working on some music right now. We're in the workshop zone, showing you guys how I go from a beat that's almost done to like that last little bit. If this beat goes well and I feel like it's gonna rock the socks off of people, I'm gonna put it onto the Roland SP404 beat competition entry, where you can enter to be on a beat tape with 15 other awesome SP404 style producers. So people would make music kind of like this. It's glitchy. It's like a whole subset of lo-fi, where it's less polished, less clean, and there's like crazy effects used. Corinthian Walker is here right now. He know what to call that. Like it's like lo-fi, but like new jazz or something like that. When you start flipping a lot, when you start putting all those flips on there. I'm sorry, this is on the backpack beat, though. This is a whole other beat than what I thought it was, yeah. All the shit sounds the same. You start making music that sounds really different, and then you're really, really different from music. Music sounds like all the same. Is that irony? Yeah. I'll usually bring this little blue pyramid with me on different shows and stuff. I don't burn sage at shows. I don't know what your air smoke policy is. I don't know if anybody's got like any type of like asthma or anything, so I don't burn sage. I don't go quite that hippie, but I do bring a pyramid around. I'm that level of hippie, a little bit of ambiance on the table. All right, we're going to pick back up whenever we left off. You guys thought this was going to be fun. You guys thought this was going to be one big Ruminate show. Well, it is the Ruminate show, but it's also the Jake is working on a beat right now. You're in the workshop with Jake show, which is cool. Thanks for hanging out for a second. Thanks for hopping on. I play this one at a lot of open mics, and people see it, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, that sounds really cool. But people always ask me, what is this box? What is your TI-94? And then what are you doing live? Like, what are you actually doing? So I'm kind of showing that. This is like those magician episodes where they like show how a magician's doing all this cool stuff. And I feel like magicians are back home in Hollywood like, shut the fuck up. You can't show this on TV. It's in my whole life. Gosh darn it. It's in my whole life working on this routine. You can't just show it like that. All right, we're going to forego our iPhone buddy over here. I think his battery's getting low. I think he's tuckered out. Thank you, iPhone, for your wonderful video footage. We're going to go now, just laptop screen. So here we are. Catch a vibe. Earlier I was doing this technique where I put the delay on, put the volume on this guy, and let it feed in with delay. I think that's too much. I think the whole starting with the volume lower thing is more like what I would do if this was going to be like an electronic song. Like I would do that and hold it out longer and use the volume swell technique to let it sit a little bit longer and just sit if I was playing like something with electronic musicians, if it ended up on the bill like that. Maybe an open mic, something more dance steady where people are like on the floor for a second, everybody's like waiting for the cue to start dancing, you give it to them. But this is going to be on beat tape. This is for people to listen on primarily with headphones, primarily while they're studying and stuff like that. So we're going to try to hit that headspace a little bit more. And because of that, keep this at the volume it's going to be at. I think that's the best way to do it and just cut straight to the point. I recently did the Blueprint beat competition, which was a lot of fun. A lot of cool people hopped on that. Found out a lot about my own city's other competition, other beat producers, other brothers in the arms, learning to make music and really just kick out some fire stuff, and some really chill stuff, man. Shout out Boy V Robot. But this is gonna be a beat tape, so we'll keep it in that style. Oh, I'm sorry, but on the Blueprint beat. On the Blueprint beat thing, I worked with my friend Mason some, and he's like a guts guy, dude. He's like, get to the point, and I'm like, no, dude, I want a minute and a half intro, like, I want just a little bit of crazy, and then I want the beat to come in. And he's like, nah, dude, give them what they showed up for. So we're gonna kind of stick to that mentality. If I had to say I learned anything from that beat competition, it's you don't have to draw it out so much. It's better to give them more of the meat and less of the salt, I guess, is what the intro would be in this scenario, in this metaphor. So here we go. We're gonna hit it, and we're gonna give them more of the meat, less of the salt. Thanks for bearing through all the technical difficulties. This is kind of a one-man show. Alright, we're gonna hit reset, man. This is like whenever you start playing a video game level and you keep playing the video game level so much and you die and you have like 2 lives left and you know you can still maybe win the game, but you're like, nah, dude, so you just die and then restart. That's what we're gonna do on that one. I like the DJ effects looper on the SP a lot, dude. It's a big go-to. You get these little... That's cool, and you can also keep it on after the pad's turned off. But it gets pretty crazy, and if you do some things like this is what I did right out the gate. This is what we'll learn, and we'll kind of knock a few things off. I try to keep it all improvised, but sometimes I'll make little notes to myself like, hey, don't do this effect on this loop because it's not going to work out well and it's going to throw everything off. If it like changes the volume too much, if it changes how it glitches. So like this is really cool, and I'll do this a lot in the middle of a set. I'll do the little wind down, which is tight, but whenever you first get into a beat and this is the first verse and you've already gone through an intro and then somebody hits you with a slower tempo right out of the gate, if it's not really rewarded, it's just like throws you off because you're like, I thought we were starting, you slowed it down, now we're back in. What is this, a verse? Are we in something else? Yeah, so I'll try to keep the stuff that slows it down or fix the tempo a little bit too much out of it, because we need to keep things pretty clean, but let them kind of figure out what the BPM is, kind of let them figure out how they're riding it. Yeah, figure out how where your energy's at in this track, so we're going to restart that. Okay, that one got all twisted around. But we're exploring. We're finding out new ways to hit the same beat again and again. At the end of the day, we're looking for like what's going to be the most fun, what's going to be the most interesting. And sometimes you find out things, you go into a beat thinking it's going to be one way, and you find out another way to do it, and it's fun to put the two together. Example of that is I'm pretty high on the idea of these are hits one at a time. Like these are, and you don't cross the beams. Like, you know, kind of pick which one's going to play. There, I messed up a little bit, and I hit the one with the fourth, and they were both kind of playing, which is pretty wacky. But we could try a few things to kind of like putting effects on one, and having this guy doing something wonky. My first thought is that we're going to try out the what's called the vinyl simulator. You know, some of that good old vinyl. Makes it sound like you bought it on a record at a thrift store that was almost thrown out, and then they put it into the 99-cent pen. That's what it's going for. A real crunchy, wide vinyl type effect. So we could, and like trying to figure out new ways to perform this, new way to add different sections and keep it interesting and make this into a song as opposed to a gathering of loops, is maybe keep one going and then put this guy on here, let it get a little crazy, be a little smoother about how we get on there, but put it on there, and take it down. That sounds like absolute noise, man. That's not going to work. That's too much. So yeah, throw that one out the window. I kind of like keeping these playing one at a time. You start to cross them. It's so hard to get them both played at exactly the same time. You just end up with this weird little feedback between the two. It sounds more obnoxious than anything. It's already such a good, well-recorded out loop, so we're gonna abandon that. But it's always fun to try out new things. That's part of this process, is figuring out new ways to make music with what we got. So here we go. Yeah, so that one got a little wild. I'll talk a little bit more about like what this is called, the SP flipping. It's one way to perform and play off an SP404 old school drum machine, and you're taking a lot of risk, and there's a lot, it's like programming in your head a little bit. It is a little bit like a calculator while you're working with it, because you have stuff that's set up in different settings, and whenever you just click it on, it's going to be in how you left it last time. So that means if you're using this setting that I'm using to record my voice right now, it's going to, and you have it in a position where it's like, really, this guy's cut really low, and this guy, so one is like a distortion type effect. That's the static. And then the other one, is like a filter, pretty much. It's like a ring modulator. It's pretty much a filter, which controls how much is in there. This sounds more like a talk radio. You float it up a little bit. Now we're getting it more into tape, and now it's starting to sound more and more like a vinyl type recording. And the third guy's the flux. That's how much it's fluttering around. Sounds more tape-ish than vinyl, if you ask me, but I am asking you, so yeah, that's the way it is. So angry. Damn. So just something to note whenever you see people performing off this stuff, you have to, like, in the back of your head, remember how you left all of these and where they're at. And so as soon as you, like, are going from something, you decide to click it on, it's going to be there for a second. It's going to be there just for, like, it's going to be where you left it. you got to remember where you left all these little effects at, which is pretty cool. And then there's, if you ever see me like pop it real quick, that's because I'm turning it on and off just long enough to choose it, to kind of see what's going to kind of set it up, be like, okay, turn all that noise down. I don't want all that noise. Turn this guy up so we hear the song. And then put it back in. So it's like, so say you left it funny, you left it way too much noise, way down here, and you're on something else. Pop it real quick. Yeah, just hear it for like a second. Now we can change it around, have it how we kind of like it, and put it on. So if I'm going to hit this delay real quick, this delay is going to be where we left it, so I'm going to adjust it around just a bit, and we can just kind of delay out. Yeah. And that's a little bit more than some people wanted to know about, but I'm just kind of talking about how I do what I do and the different processes that goes into it. So yeah, if you're an SP404 user, this is a lot more, I guess, useful information. Yeah, so we're still working on the speed. We're still working on something that's going to be in a little roll-in entry for a contest later on. And we're going from something that's a bunch of loops to something that's like more of a song. A little bit of structure goes a long way. Turn off all that craziness for a second. So here we go. We're going to go back and loop it into another. We're going to take another run at this bad boy. We're taking another crack at it. Go through what I'm doing real quick for people who just hopped on. We have a bunch of loops. We got this guy, maybe with a harmonica. That's it in the rawest form. We have the next layer. That's it with a little bit more construction. Throws in a bit more sounds, and then it leads this little bit. And this one has the first percussion in it. Kick and snare. And I keep these pretty simple because I know later on I'm going to be flipping them, so it's like you just want a little bit of kick and snare, and then later on, if you want to bop it a little bit, you can kind of like throw in the DJ effects looper and like catch it for a second, kind of have it. So I'll show you kind of that now. It's like boom. Yeah, not exactly the snare, but we're good. Okay, I'm getting everything. Yeah, like stuff like that, a little glitchy. Yeah, so it's kind of like you kind of keep it simple, and later on you doodle. I call it doodling, or like scratching on top of everything. This is it with this is that same beat you heard before. This time it's got, I'll put a lo-fi effect filter on it to kind of make it a little scratchier, and then now it's got hi-hats. And then here's that same beat. Same beat, but now we're going to kind of chop it. It's not the same beat. It's the same percussion as before, but now it's the previous parts that you've heard chopped into a different phrase. Yeah, cool. So that's what we're working with. And then there's one more. I rarely touch this guy. Talk a little less. Yeah, I really rarely touch this one because it's like full firepower. It's like the one that's in the vault. It's the highest. It's like where the song is going to be the most energy level is whenever I would hit this one. So I kind of keep it in the burner, and I'm waiting to see where it fits. This is the last puzzle piece right here, where hopefully everything else, it's like everything else leads up to this one, and then this is wherever it gets the most. It's just more hi-hats. It's just the same it's the same as everything but this one, but with more hi-hats. Which maybe I should use that one a little bit more. Maybe that should be like one of my first go-tos. and then have more variation for the rest of it. Like, we'll try that. Okay, well, I mean, this is what we're here for. We're here to try new things and see different ways to make loops into an entire piece. So usually we're going from this guy, a phasey little delay, get crazy with it intro, to this one with the lo-fi setting that's the most crunchy. But this time we're just going to see what it sounds like to go from the intro to this guy. It's a little cleaner. So if we use this one, I think it's a little obnoxious just to go from nothing to this much hi-hat. But it's not from nothing. It's got a little intro. So we're going to try it out. We're going to see how that feels. So we're going to ride that one for a second. Thanks for hopping on and seeing different ways to make music, seeing a dude do what he does with an SB404. Yeah. Okay, that first one, I just want to get the EQ a little bit better. We'll try it again. I still feel like it's a little bit too high energy, and something I might do is like hit this one with a lo-fi setting to see if it takes out, see if it makes me feel any different about it. And then in response to that, I would take out the lo-fi on this guy because that's too many lo-fis. You only want a couple. After that, it's like reversing your bass. It's too easy to be good. I don't know. I feel like it's a little cheesy. Like, you gotta tasteful, little bits of salt. You don't want to get it too salty, but you want it to flavor. You know. Amen. Yeah, yeah, it's a whole different song that way. Wow, going from the little intro straight to this guy. Still feel like it's a little bit much, but it gives like this whole alternative version because I feel like, okay, hold up, vibe on this. Yeah, that one might need to be a little bit louder now. I feel like this one becomes more of like a bridge section whenever compared to this other one. Like this sounds less like a verse and this sounds like a faster version of the verse. It sounds more like this one's like a part that goes in between parts, more like not a second tempo, but a bridge. Real slappy beat. Gotta turn it down, I'm gonna blow my eardrums out. Yeah, that lo-fi, I love the sound of the lo-fi, but it gets really noisy. It like changes the volume a bit. Sounds, yeah. Like this guy earlier in the piece. We're going to try to incorporate that a bit more. I think that good things will happen if we do that. But I feel like if we're going to go between that and that, we need to not go medium or to what sounds like a bridge. We need to go more to what sounds like the second layer of an intro. Like we're going not from intro to verse. We're going to set it up more. We're going intro to like intro part 2 or really light verse, something like that, which is going to be going to this guy, which has no hi-hats at all. So it's going to go a little bit quicker, man. I think we're going to try to go from intro to verse with no hi-hat, the verse with no hi-hat, and full hi-hat, just all the hi-hats, lo-fi. Whoa, now we're in this, now it's set, here we go, and then this guy, and then I think from this guy we'll go to the bridge, go to the cut. I don't know, I'll see this like a second verse or something more like that. So yeah, let's try that out. Let's take that for a run and see where we go. Like I said, we're in the workshop today. I'll do performances later. Sometimes I'll sit down or I'll play a whole set. Sorry, I'm probably buzzing the heck out of the mic. I'll sit down and play a whole set. But this is one just to show more of the process of the music making. So here we go. We're going to try another run. Sorry, I had to make sure everything was recording on Reason for real quick and that we're all good to go. Like I said, I'm looking for a beat to enter into a competition, and I'm just kind of recording my set right now. And if I do a really good one, I might use it later to submit it to this rolling competition. So we got everything recording, we got everything hot. But here we go. We're still in the process of working on it. Okay. Went into that a little bit differently than I thought I would. Now I feel like it's really like that. Really like that. This is a good decision. We've like a lot of time I think about song construction like a deck of cards or like a house of cards or something, or like building a house, you know, where you want to have everything in balance, and that like certain angles, certain weights are going to fit in together, and you're going to form a structure at the end of it. And that's the way this should feel. It should feel balanced, and should be like a structure. That's where you start with it being balanced, and then you kind of change how the balance of it goes, and that's where you get a little bit of originality, and get parts like high energy at one point. Later on, and low energy, you're going to remember it was before. Yeah, it's a song construction, like a pack of cards, like a royal suite. So I like this guy as the intro, man. And then I liked hitting this one, take off the crazy effects, and this guy, though, I feel differently about it. It's so different with the lo-fi effect. This is like a whole section. This is more like where we go like verse, chorus, verse, little interludes, and then this is like a whole bridge. This is what I sometimes in the halfway point or so in my song, I find that's like the biggest point where things get less interesting, where it's like, okay, now I know how the whole song's going to be, unless you throw in a huge bridge or a second part. This is all going to be a receding, a second part. It's going to be the same thing, but again, with more of it. So I'll put in something like this to kind of as like a palate cleanser, to kind of let it feel like everything can reset for a moment. Like, it's like where we went through a tunnel, and now we're out the other side of the tunnel, and it's the same. The grass is greener, a little bit more hi-hats, a little bit more interesting. We're still crescendoing until it's done, then I'll pretty much let it sizzle out. But we've had a secondary set. We went into just like a different sound, a different whole palette for a second. That's this guy. So this will let us reset, and then I feel like after this guy, we can hit this guy. Here, let's try it out. Yeah, that was like level 7 energy level. Like, yeah. It makes any sense. Anyway. This one's interesting because it doesn't start with a kick. I just messed around with it long, couldn't get it on there. I was like, hey, we're gonna try a dry. We're gonna try this one. It just hits, and then the kick comes in second. Which is pretty cool. But it does kind of take away that first like pounding hit, and it kind of throws you off for a second. Which is interesting. It can be used as an advantage or disadvantage depending on how you play it out. So. Yeah, and the way this is mixed, there's no real way to like have like that 3, like one pad come in and be like at a different volume. Like, I wish that this would come in a little bit louder the first time, and the second time it could be softer, but that's not really feasible. So what we've got to think about in the construction of this beat is that it needs to be a little bit more on or off. Drawing a lot of bridges, a lot of like this part about this tempo, speed it up a little bit. It needs to be like these sections, it needs to be like nothing. So it needs to be, as far as when it comes down to like our kick and snare, what's really like the body of driving the beat, it needs to be a little bit more on or off. And this is the interesting in between, where it sounds more like the off pieces, like the like ambient sounding pieces, but this guy, but it's still just as high energy. But with the lo-fi on there, it kind of fits more into these sounds that don't have any percussion, or kind of more ambient field recordings. So we're going to kind of keep that in mind, the construction of it. I'm going to mess around with it a little bit more, and then we're going to pull out the handy dandy pen and papers compiled into a notebook. We're going to get out, fucking Blue's Clues over here. We're going to get out the notebook, and I'll start kind of writing down how I think to structure the song. The way I've been doing it so far is very like, I'm filling this beat out for a second, I'm filling this loop out for a second, hit the next one where I think it should go. Now we're going to kind of make things a bit more concrete. This is what I don't like to do, but I find it's very necessary, and the lasting parts of my beat construction is actually being like, okay, now it's these parts. And then once you have that, it's a lot easier to flip on top of the beat, knowing this is about the energy level I'm looking at, so you don't like, yeah. So it's an easy way. You make a map, you know where the map is, then it's easier to get off the map,
find a rest spot, find a fishing spot, and then get back on the map. But it's nice to have the friggin' Dora the Explorer map. Um, so we're gonna fudge around with it a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and write down my ideas for how I'm thinking these loops kind of fit into each other. And then once we have like yeah, so we're gonna take it from there.
Cool, cool, cool. Sorry for all the static and stuff, guys. I promise as we go on through the roommate journey of Jake's got an SP404 and a microphone. Um, we'll get better and better quality stuff. Figure it all out. But now little glitches. We'll be alright. So we're looking at making a map. That's where we're at. We've been lost in the weeds. We've been in the creek. We've seen the birdhouses. We took a dump at the gazebo. We flew a kite. We've been all around this musical piece. Now we're at the point where we want to make a map because we've seen it all. We know how a lot of this stuff works out, but we want to start getting an idea for what it's going to be like whenever it's cut, whenever it's not the live improvised version. But this is what's going to be on the record. You know what I mean? This isn't the jam session version. So kind of what we've been thinking. We'll write it out. So I mean, I'll announce it while I'm writing it. You shouldn't even read my handwriting if you saw it. Nothing against you. It's just my handwriting's fucking horrible. So we start out with pad 12. I'm just gonna write that guy down. And so for people who don't know, who've seen me live before, usually I have a notebook with me, and before I go do a performance, whoever it is, whether it's at the open mic, like the really good one that was in Ipsy, shout out Kool-Aid Cam, no matter where I am, usually you'll see me with a piece of paper and I'll have it like halfway wadded up or like I'll pull it out and it's like a set list. That's what that's what this is gonna be. This is kind of a process I always do in the last stages of my music. And I'll play a lot of stuff still raw, like without the map. But whenever I feel like it's something that it's time to shine, it's time to have the real, it's time to get it on wax, it's time to press it, and I'll make the map. So here we go. This is what the map looks like. It starts out with 12. Usually I'll put usually, hope everybody can hear me. Usually I start out with putting whatever bank I'm in for the SP404 heads out there. So we'll start out, just on my voice a little bit. So we'll start out, sorry for the weird robotic feedback, 12. I'll put a G at the top, title this, I think I'm going to title this one for Doug, because it was my Uncle Doug who gave me the harmonica, and then I did one for Mike before, so one for Doug. You gotta spell out 4, that's a whole other thing. I'll usually write down the bank that it's in first, so if it's all in the same bank, so we'll just write a G on the top. That's like my key, I guess. It's like, I don't write in the key of G anymore. I mean, I think this is in like E minor, which is G, but yeah, this is like that. This is like G12 is like the first note, but it's not, it's the bank, yeah. So we hit 12. I'm gonna put on there, I'm gonna write like an upper arrow for feedback. Now the first thing you do is delay, so put DLY, space, and then up, like an upper going arrow to the right, and put balance, so BAL. This is kind of like notes for myself. This is like my own little musical, I guess, lingo that I've kind of made to be able to perform and like do different. Yeah, so cool. So if you're like an SP404 dude or someone who's just curious about automation, you can use these kind of techniques in Pro Tools or whatever. But this is kind of like an effect sheet. Yeah. So delay, up, balance. This is so kind of know. Start out. I'm gonna just put a little notes. Quarter note, delay, and then upper right feedback. Cool, cool. So that's where we're at. An eye over here because I kind of think about it as intro. Put a squiggly line. We're gonna go from that guy straight to 3. So 3 is our next section. We're gonna flip on this, and so this is when we come to this section. We come into the immediate question of starting to think about how much do I want to like flip on the pad 3, and how much do I just want to let it play out.
I think it needs one solid grab just to show that I'm still in the game as a performer. So we're going to go from here to here, and it's going to need one little thing. It could be a few things I can choose depending on how I'm playing it, but I'll start thinking about the effects I'll use. So we'll play through what we have here, written down this farly on the map. Word, we got it. That was it. That was the secret sauce. We knew it all along. The way I feel about this first one is whenever it's at the end of the first loop. So I always try to think about a beat sometime. I'm looking at it from two different perspectives. To kind of, yeah. So like one is like as a dance radio type song, like constructing it that way. Is another is if somebody was going to actually speak on top of it, spit bars. It would need to be not too crazy because then they'll throw them off, dude. You're doodling on top of what they're doing, so it's like this like delicate balance of making it interesting by making it wacky, but making it not too wacky to the point where if somebody that it's still like a beat, dude. I still want to fit in that just gap just a little bit of like you could still hear the like 1, 2, 3, and 4s on it, and kind of know mainly where the snare's at. And you doodle around too much, it gets like you'd be in someone's way if they were really trying to speak on top of it. So I think the best way to compromise between these two is at the end of this bar, at the end of this loop, where it's just about to play out. I'm going to try to grab the snare on the DJFX looper and do a little diddle. A little medium tempo diddle. Maybe a paradiddle, actually. I don't know how to speak drums. So it's like this guy will be a little bit far back. This is the knob that controls how many chops there are. Like this is very, very fast. This is the most intense. And this all the way counterclockwise is like super slow. Here, I'll show you. Super slow, super fast. So yeah. So we're gonna use one of those at the end of the first loop, and that we can ride. And that makes it easier for us because we just did this whole crazy intro. And the intro takes a lot of focus, and this gives us a second just to hit the 3 and focus on getting this next loop, not overdoing it. You start doodling on it too much, you kind of kill the whole vibe of it. So it gives you a second just to kind of reset and hear it again and kind of catch how you feel about it whenever it's hitting that time. The intro is going to be different every time you do it, so how you do the whole rest of the song is going to be slightly different. If you have a really high-paced intro, you might end up dialing it back a little bit sooner. If you have a really fast-paced intro, you might feel like it needs to write itself out and then cut down like after more bars. So, but we should have an idea. We should have a we want the intro to be relatively the same every time, but like it's going to be a little different. We're playing delay knobs. So here we go. We're going to do it one more time, then we're going to write it down in the, what do I call it? The notebook? Yeah, the notebook. Cool, I like the way that's filling. Still throws me off a little bit, not having that first. I feel like that's what 4 is so good for, but we're going to keep messing around with this for a second. hitting by that, I mean, for those hopping on, we're making a boot out making a beat out of loops. We have like each of these guys triggers a whole section of song, like 60 measures or so. We're finding different ways to put them together and have a beat at the end with different little flipping techniques. So here we go, intro. One, yeah, a little bit lighter guy. And then I went straight to this one. That sounded really good. I liked hitting that. And this becomes verse one. This becomes chorus type of thing, like variation. Then we can hit this guy again, and now it's like we did the same thing we just did before, but now we're still writing. So I feel like with that, even though it's not quite as much of a good first hit on this dude, it gives it room to keep getting more interesting and keep picking up tempo. This guy plays the hand. This guy puts it all on the table. This guy's the backup. This guy puts it all on the table. Hit this guy first. You still have room to grow and keep things moving up the ladder, so to speak. So here, we'll try it out again. You know, that's the philosophy going into it. We'll see how it moves around. Yeah, so we're getting into a few different interesting ways to arrange the song. Yeah, looking pretty cool. Thanks for hopping on, guys. If you're just checking out what I'm doing, I'm showing a little bit about my music making process with Ruminate, my lo-fi projects, and we've got a beat right here that's almost good to go. But we're gonna doodle on it, and we're gonna find ways to make it a little bit better. Right now, it's a section of loops that kind of hold different song structures, and we're gonna find different ways to put them together. Yeah, something I think I'm going to do. This will be interesting. Just discovered a new technique. I'm going to hang this guy out and turn him down the first time. And he's going to be, we'll use a volume swell. We were trying to do that at the beginning to introduce the first intro. We're going to do that on this guy. And this time we're going to keep him low at the beginning. And then whenever we can hit him later, we can do it about this guy. And then delay him out. So this one will get a little bit too intense. It'll kind of mimic the intro. So now we have a little bit of structure. So now we hit it out, we feed back up while it's going, and let it kind of bleed out for a second. and then we come back in with this guy as like a reintroduction, and we feed him right back in. So now it's like, oh crap, here we are back at the beginning, back at the intro. And then I don't know where to go. I don't know, but that's a cool technique, so I'll be sure to include that. That gives it so much more tension, so now we could release the tension. Yeah, I think I'll end up going with this one. Word, word. Well, I feel like that's pretty much good for this. We've gotten pretty far into this beat, amount of time that we've taken it and messed around with it. Um, so I think at this point, I've pretty much shown you guys what I have to show you. It's just like me messing around with it. Um, I guess if you're curious about how we got to this point, if you just now hopped on, it's better probably to put it back like 10 minutes and kind of see what all's been going on thus far. We're just working on the last stages of making a beat, and we've gotten pretty far into how we want to structure it. So we started out with these loops that I all recorded the harmonica and stuff a while back. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So at this point, I'm just gonna keep messing around with it. I feel like it's almost there, man. I feel like we started out with it at 85% done. I feel like we're like 89 now, and that's after an hour, an hour of like doodling on it. But the more I listen to it, the more I think about new ways it can unfold. So, it gets a little bit more complicated, and then you simplify it all down. Then you end up with something really interesting. And we're gonna go down all the avenues. Like I said, we're playing a hand of cards right now. Honestly, it's like I hit this one, I could go to this one next with the drum starting straight in, go into this guy. So we're just gonna keep playing it. I'm gonna restart Reason and have everything recording. If we think we get a really awesome take, I'll cut it later and use it for the Roland SP competition beat. But if not, there's always tomorrow, and I'll just record a bit tomorrow and then put it out Facebook, Instagram, and let you guys kind of see where we end up with this. This is still a working project. Like I said, we're in the wood shop, but tomorrow or the next day, I'll be sure you guys see what it looks like when it's all whittled down. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for cooling it for a second.
Cool. So I'll leave this as the last thing. This has kind of been like people seeing different ways to make beats, different styles of beat production, especially with the SP404. This is a technique I'll kind of just found out. I'll kind of describe for a second, and then I'll call it off, cut it from here, finish it up, and post it in a couple of days or so. But I'll show this real quick. This is pretty interesting. I've just found out one way to do this. So I've got this beat. I've got this whole loop right here. That sounds freaking awesome, right? But it's just a little so awesome. Like it's like here's these other ones that are pretty in there, but then this one has this whole type of distortion to it. It's got this crunch, this little lo-fi distortion crunch. So I've been kind of thinking ways to how do I get from these cleaner beats, this cleaner whole loop line that doesn't have that kind of weird effect on it, to this guy. So watch. It just puts so much in there so quick. It's like a wall chop change to, and then this whole level of distortion in there. So what I just found out, this is pretty cool. Realized I could do this. Never really thought about it. Hit this guy. Gonna have delay on there. Hit him with the lo-fi at the end. Hit him with delay first. Turn the lo-fi on. Feed it. A little bit smoother as you kind of develop a technique, you know. But you have this guy fill in. Turn down all the craziness. This is one way to just ramp it up, so it's like almost like a chop or a halftime type thing, but throwing it in there straight into this beat, which stays at that level of distortion, so it kind of comes from somewhere. So it's like boom. Start with this guy, turn them off. Yeah, you want to have delay on there. You want to end it with it kind of low, slap it back pretty fast. The lo-fi hit delay. They kind of filter to the next one, and then you practice that a few times, and it gets smoother. Do it one more time, and then cut it out. Thanks for hanging out tonight. The SP404 jam sessions, showing how I just work with my music, how I get it from loops to a song, and kind of mess around with things. So let's start out something like this. You use this one time. Boom. Let it play for one. Okay, we're gonna do this time. So I think we play first. We kind of put the delay on fast and slow. And then we put the delay lo-fi and put it somewhere. That was a little long. That was a little extra. That wouldn't be how long I would do that for. But yeah, cool. I'll cut it there. Thanks for hanging out. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for hanging out and see this kind of woodshop type behind the music part of the process, part of recording as Ruminate. Hope you guys can see the video later. I'll show you guys whenever it's done, and I'll submit it into the Roland SP404 beat tape competition. Thanks for hanging out. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Peace.